Hello and welcome to today's historic best of 3 deck tech and gameplay video on Bant Boggles. Bant Boggles basically refers to, well, hang on, I don't think we actually have, one second, I don't think we have actual OG Boggle, right? I don't think so. I was going to say it refers to I think it's called the Slippery Boggle or Bogle, however you pronounce it. Let's see, it's a 1-drop. And it's a creature. Does it exist in the format? Nope, didn't think so. This would be really embarrassing if it was, and I'd forgotten it in the deck that bears its name. But functionally, Glade Cover Scout is a good stand-in for a Boggle. In this case, it's a 1-drop that has hexproof. That's it. And what the deck wants to do is load up our couple of cards that have hexproof, which a load of, in this case, auras. But basically you want to strap it up with a load of effects, make it very difficult, if not actually impossible, to interact with, or at least interact with favorably. And then to eventually either just chip your opponent down, Death by 1,000 Cut styles, again with cards like Glade Cover Scout, Invisible Stalker, or even Basara Tower Archer, which is a kind of honorary Boggle here. You can chip them down with just the bare body of the thing itself. Or you can also make your creature relatively big with cards like Ancestral Mask or Ethereal Armor, all of which care about all of the enchantments that are going to be put on your creatures in question. In order to keep the feel going, we have several ways to draw cards. Really, Sixth Sense and Curiosity are both enchantments that whenever said enchanted creature connects with an opponent, you may draw a card. And that's how we keep our, keep the feel going for the deck to actually kind of work. You could also kind of include a Nadu in the card draw category. Same thing with an Aqueous form with Scry, but those are like half card draws. Beyond the creatures we want to enchant, the enchantments that we put on said creatures, as well as our card draw engines and our big payoffs, we do have a very, very small, i.e. just 4 Sheltered by Ghost, for interaction. It's a card that is an aura that we were already going to play on our creatures anyway. Not only does it get rid of a thing our opponent has, but also gives our thing lifelink and ward, again sort of reinforcing the whole very difficult, if not impossible, to interact with bit. Also, Noble Hierarch is not directly a Bogle, but it's a nice 1-drop that can become a Bogle pretty easily and also fixes our mana. Land base, very self-explanatory. I'm running 3 Triomes, but beyond that, you want to just run mostly blue and green lands with a little bit of ability to make white. And you want these cards to ideally be able to be played untapped on turn 1 or 2, since the deck really wants to hit the ground running. We don't love that the Triomes come into play tapped, but the color fixing is nice. And you do need some sources of white mana to cast your white spells. The sideboard, pretty self-explanatory. Get Lost if you need removal. I've found Counterspell as a sort of a... It's kind of a removal spell if you think about it in an abstract way, but it's a nice just sort of catch-all if their opponent's doing something particularly annoying and you don't want to have to deal with it. Counterspell does that. Intervention for sweeper protection, ooze for graveyards, change the equation because there's a lot of... When I first made the deck, there was lots of mono-green devotion floating around. That's died off a little bit, and now there's like this Boomer Jund renaissance period, but change the equation also works with that. Narset Parter Veils and Nezahal are both cards you can bring in against opposing control matchups, because control matchups are another match that can be a bad one, and these just give you ways to sort of go longer against those decks. And 2 Settle the Wreckages for a 1-sided sweeper in an otherwise aggressive list, and we always love those. And that is the basics of the list. Don't forget to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and you'd like to see more in the future, And if you have any sort of nice questions like, I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice comments, I'll respond to what I see. Now we'll finally go on to game number 1. And game number 1 with our little Bant Bogle list. And as always, we go first because we have a brain. This is fine. We'll take it. We have one of our target creatures and some things to enchant them with. Can't really ask for much more than that. We'll do the aqueous form since we want our creature to be able to attack for free. It would be great to... Let me do what I said I was going to do first. Glade cover Scout on 1. Quick thing about Nadu. Yes, it's nice when Nadu gets some, some value out of his triggered ability here, but don't hold on to loads of cards in your hand trying to be cute so that you might get some Nadu value. Just play the Nadu later, and then if you happen to get some value out of it, great. Hit the ground running still. You don't want to sacrifice that. Now, aqueous form. Can't be blocked. Let's see what we have on the top. Honestly, don't need the land. Now, Merfolk Wind Robber. Is it rogues? Is it some like Demir Mill list or something like that? Oh, please tell me you're gonna like... It wouldn't be unsummoned, but we're just gonna say bounce our little nothing enchantment back to our hand. That would be hilarious. The fuck? I haven't seen that card in a hot minute. 2-mana tap, top card of your library, instant or sorcery, reveal it into hand. If you don't, put it into your graveyard. Activate if you own only exactly 0 or 7 cards in hand. Well, that's not going to be useful ever. In the meantime, don't do that. No, 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 no. Thank God I couldn't cycle that. Would have been very upset with myself. Curiosity first. Get some card draw. They have a counterspell or like a mana leak, I think, is available in the format now. That's fine. Noble Hierarch. Another one of those cards that doesn't seem like it would fit in the deck, but it's a 1-drop. Can fix your mana, and if you need to, with a couple of enchantments, it can very easily become a sort of honorary Boggle pretty quickly. Alpha Authority is not needed because we already have the form. The Alpha Authority is... It's a nice card and can be useful, but this is one of the first ones that will usually get cut in sideboards. Isn't to say there's like no situation in which you'd ever use it, because that's not true either, but it was more of a tool to give a thing hexproof, like a Hierarch, that normally wouldn't have it. And if you happen to, say, have a Nadu, or even play it on Nadu, even better. I'm trying to fill dead air because I have no fucking idea what our opponent's doing. They're certainly doing things. They're playing cards. Some weird mono blue thing. I see no reason to even try and use the Shelter by Ghost. They haven't really played that much I need to be that concerned about. That stinks because most of our deck is pretty low mana. So they are some sort of like mill thing, which is fine. We will play the Nadu just so we can block the... Don't do that. Attack. There we go. Yeah, we'll play the Nadu, not only because of whatever... Don't need that. Value we can get out of it, but we just want to be able to block the Wind Robber wherever we can. Sure. There is an argument to be made that I shouldn't actually be drawing too much right now if they're just going to like play another Tasha's and potentially deck me out. Okay, so it is like a mono blue mill, which is interesting, honestly. If there's ever a perk to being in gold after the reset, or even when a deck happens to perform particularly poorly, is that you get to see like cool list. 16. I think we are... Actually, that's Yeah, that'll do it. In that case, target our big boy undercover scout. We will get rid of the drowned secrets. I'm actually not gonna draw. Pardon? When this or enters, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Oh, was it? Okay, I mean, also, my internet's been exploding today, so it's very possible it's just something mundane. I will attack with it. I'm just going to attack with the crew. Why not? Maybe make our opponent feel... That's fine. A little threatened, and they might actually want to block with a dude. We actually don't mind keeping the Hierarch on top, since I'm going to assume we're going to get milled out here. Or not milled out, but that card's going to get milled. We don't... I mean, I was going to say we don't need the Hierarch. Decline. We don't need, like, subsequent copies of the Hierarch, but if you have it, it's great, since the Exalted is, like, nothing to scoff at. He says before he gets decked, I think. Okay, that's fair. Well played to our opponent. I will be honest. Not only in testing for this deck, but in testing for any of the decks I have had, you know, going around, I can safely say I have not seen a blue mill list in a long time. Okay, so that's not going to be the most useful. They're not playing that many creatures. This is one of those where I'm going to bring in Counterspell. Honestly. I think we can take out... Let's see, a Curiosity, a Sixth Sense, maybe one more to bring in one more Counterspell and some Get Lost. We actually don't want to draw too much, since, you know, too much drawing is actually really helping our opponent's game plan. And they did show that with the reason why the Get Lost were brought in. I think it's Drowned Secrets was the name of that card. They are running that, so does make sense. Another fine opener. I think I actually will do the Hierarch on one. I had a moment in my head where I was thinking about playing the Scout on one. We don't have anything to suit the thing up with. Play a Nadu. I think we can afford to take off a single turn, not killing a Ruin Crab. I mean, it sucks to mill all of those. That's really interesting. Yeah. Do a Glade Cover Scout. Have a backup guy. In the meantime, attack with Nadu. Exalted makes Nadu bigger. Would love to have strapped either one of these with a Curiosity, but I think it's more important that we keep open a Counterspell right now. That is fine. See, Tasha's Hideous is 3 mana, so I'm going to be honest, if he goes to play Tasha's, we're countering that immediately, because that will eat up the majority of our deck. Fingers crossed, though. Yep, get that shit out of here. That's why you include the Counterspell, for when you need removal for a thing that you normally can't remove or interact with terribly well. Play land. You know what? Yeah. We'll just target the Nadu with a Curiosity. Go ahead, enter tapped. We are going to only attack with the Nadu, since even if we attacked with the Scout, he would just block the Ruin Crab free. I will actually take this draw, though. That helps. That's a lot. Hmm. Yeah, we will actually. Aqueous form on the scout. That does kind of change things up. And now we end the turn. Because now we can actually attack next turn and know that we're going to get through with the scout, which is a lovely little thing to have. I'm feeling better. Again, if he plays another Tasha, so if he has like 4 of them, we're going to be in some trouble. There's no real way around it. Yeah. I mean, even if we happen to lose this game, that's totally fair. I have not played against a mill matchup in any of my videos or any of the testing for the decks in, yeah, probably a couple months. So this is like a good, air quote, problem to have. This is the most boring ass removal spell on the planet, but I think it needs to happen. There's loads of interactions for 1 mana, either counterspells or blinks or what have you. Right now, yeah, we're just going to try and flood the board and go wide. Because we have a Curiosity that's going to hit. Honestly. Yeah, sure. I feel a sneeze coming on. Maybe? I think we're okay. We are going to draw that. Feeling okay. I imagine Opt was what they were holding priority for, which is fine. Another Ruin Crab. Plays a land, probably, because that's the reason why you sequence that like that. Let's counterspell 2 out of 3 gone. Yeah, this is... Yeah, mono blue mill is so rare. You can't realistically like have a sideboard plan for everything. You just accept there are going to be some weird matchups like this that might actually sneak under the radar. And again, I said this before in other videos. I always enjoy when people like are willing to try interesting and new stuff. And I mean, this isn't new per se, but it's like a very rare deck that you don't see very often, at least in my experience, so it's new enough, if that makes any sense. See, you can't block, you can't block. I still want to get rid of this regardless. We are going to do it on a hexproof guy. That's another one. Don't think we need to use the other one. I would rather just keep the second Sheltered by Ghost. I think we're at a stage where we're not going to draw. Because really, there's nothing we like particularly hit that we care about. Keep Forest on the top. Potentially, like, confuse our opponent. Hang on, wait a second. Did I? Okay. I suppose if I got really lucky, I guess there's some way where I could have potentially... Nah. Playing the Sheltered Ghost gives me 1 more attack and he goes down to 1. I'm sure if you get like really like tinfoil hatty, there was like a play I could have done to maybe possibly kill our opponent. But I think the majority of plays you could like reasonably expect us to see with his deck, and none of those are going to get me like the extra 1 point of damage for lethal. And we've done the thing, but I've talked about countless times. We've made our opponent have the thing. Does he just... He cracks immediately, because granted he's smart enough to understand that if he doesn't find something, he is just dead. Still a good game though. Yeah, that's fine. Where are we at now? 7? Okay, just attack with all, but not a hierarch, because even I'm not that silly. Okay, if that was the next card, we got there in the end anyway. I think I could have maybe technically gotten that mask into our hand and onto the board. So maybe that would have been different. We still won, so yeah, who cares? In the meantime, I think our sideboard strategy is pretty sound. We just run it again and just, you know, hope we get lucky, for lack of a better word. But we've shown that this deck can, like, beat up what our opponent's trying to do, but, like, pretty fair and square. Already can't be blocked, though. I think we can take a turn off to play a headquarters, I believe. Next turn, shock in a breeding pool. Play an invisible stalker. That's fine. Whole bunch of milling. Even if I did particularly care, I don't really have, like, the ability to do anything about it. Hi, Wiggles. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. What is this one? When you draw a card, opponent mills too? Okay. Another one of those that's, like, pretty popular in a list like this. Like, there's one counter spell. In the meantime, play a Hierarch. I think it'd be a little redundant to give our Invisible Stalker double unblockable. Make an argument that maybe it's worthy to just start scrying some cards, which is fair, but I just don't think that that's needed. Drawing. Oh, I do mill though. Yeah. Oh, what is when you draw a card? It's not one or more. Okay, that's better. That's pretty cute. I like that. Credit given to our opponent. They are doing the thing. I think we're going to go ahead and cycle this away. Don't really have a whole lot else to do. Sure, the Stalker again. They have made us mill a lot of... Not a lot. Okay, not a lot of good cards, but, like, I mean, some of them. We've lost, what, 2 of... Sheltered by Ghost. We also lost... Get Lost. We're quickly running out of ways to interact with the tutelage here. Or the Drowned Secrets. And to be fair, it's... I mean... In a deck that has access to green and white, like, of course I can find some sort of disenchant style effect, but really they aren't even that popular. Yes, you can make an argument, especially in moments like this, for a ladder deck that you're never going to be able to, like, guarantee what you're facing. It's good to have an answer or two for most decks you can, like, reasonably expect to find. But honestly, like, one, mill does not happen, but even then, like, artifact and enchantment lists don't super happen, and it's very hard to, like, warrant a one-for-one naturalize when, like, artifact and enchantment sweepers exist, and those sweepers that are a little easier to, like, include mindlessly in the sideboard would also hose us. Okay, could you stop with the fucking aqueous forms? I'm gonna do it now just so I can, like, try and find something. This stinks. So yeah, now we're just gonna try and scry, maybe control what's on the top of our deck. We can't even really keep anything good on the top because you know it's just gonna get sucked away. Yeah, don't do that. Come on. Might as well keep that just because it is a land. We have all the lands we need to cast, like, everything in the deck. Annoyingly, we can't really crack these waterlogged groves, just so, you know, we don't kill ourselves. The Sage is gone. I mean, to be fair, the mill deck is doing its thing. Am I crazy, or are there just no more think there's only 2 Ancestral Mask in the deck. I think they're both in the graveyard. No, I think the other one's in here. I think that's kind of my only out. It's just hope against hope that we draw an Ancestral Mask, or whatever the card's called, and then hope that that'll be enough, even though I don't think it will, because it wouldn't, what would give me 8/8 plus 9, hang on, +8 +8, because I think it's +2/+2 for every enchantment, including itself. 2, 4, 6, 8, 8 plus 9, 9 plus the Exalted is 10. I could, in theory, find something off of Waterlogged Grove to maybe win, but yeah, the Mask is the only option we have. I think there's 2. Oh, there is. Never mind. They're both in here. I'm dumb. Okay, yeah. There's no way we win. They've got the thing locked down. I was confused. Is the internet exploding again? It is exploding. Well, luckily the game already happened to be over. Yeah, I know. Connection lost. Okay. We're gonna cut here because our opponent has won, and the concession will clearly, as you can see, will give them the win. Just my internet's been exploding for the last 2 days. I'll say 2 or 3 days. So you're not going to be able to see the actual loss screen, but just consider this a loss. But again, still totally worth it, and it's fun to like see new decks that you don't really see all that often. So I can't really complain too much. Now, we'll go on to game number 2. And in game number 2, with our little, what's the word? Bant Boggles list. There we go. Got there eventually. Go ahead and keep that. Yeah, go ahead and play the Glade Cover Scout. We've had the nut draw, and we have the thing we want in our opening hand. One cannot ask for much more. Play a Mana Confluence, Ignoble Hierarch, and a Curiosity on the Scout. And now we just go face. Of course, we gladly take the card. That's a good one. Johnny's Pridemate's concerning. In the meantime, we are going to get rid of that. Sheltered by Ghost. Target creature you control. And creature they control. Or non-land, but creature for this case. Aqueous Form for the rest. Now we can't be blocked. Don't need another land. Nothing else, we're just going to chunk them a buttload with an Ancestral Mask next turn. Okay, said we didn't need the land and got one anyway. In that case, Ignoble Hierarch. Ancestral Mask, doesn't matter if we tap the one Hierarch, because we're going to use the Exalted triggers on the Scout. Doesn't immediately win us the game, but it got us pretty close, and we'll take that. Part of me wants to bring in some Get Lost, but I'm feeling a little confident. Well, no. Let's not be stupid, Max. Let's see. Can be blocked by more than one creature. You know what? That's fine. We're up a game. We have the, what's the word? The ability to, like, lose a game and bring in the Get Lost that I was thinking about anyway, but I'm just feeling good about that game's performance, and I think we can just run it again. And if we do it again, we'll just get game 3. Totally fine. Don't have one of the things that we want to enchant, but, I mean, that'll count. Breeding Pool. Play a Hierarch. Not the worst thing in the world. was about to say, I think if they play in a Johnny's Pride Me, I think we actually get rid of it. Better to get rid of it now while we know we can. Creature you control, thing they control. We will play another Hierarch with the leftover mana. This just gives us options, and we love options, if nothing else. That is just OG-ass disenchant. Okay. They're going to be very upset when we do it again, but... Okay, good. I want to make sure that didn't screw me on the... Well, okay, it did kind of screw me on the tapping. That's fair. Hang on. Stop tapping weird. 6 cents on the other Hierarch. Go ahead and attack. Get some exalted bonuses. They're clearly running weird things, so we want to like diversify our threats a little bit. Scout's pretty good. We do like that. Everything else is fine. Go ahead and just pay the green life immediately. Play the headquarters. Am gonna do curiosity on the scout. We're gonna start trying to get the scout big and scary. In the meantime, we're not gonna, you know, just take or ignore free damage. I think that would be irresponsible. Remaining mana, we will put the ethereal armor on the scout. Now, if they have a sweeper in their mono white creature base list, then okay. We were asking for it, but that's silly for our opponent to do. And they haven't left open Settle the Wreckage mana, so we're pretty good to just swing on in. Let's see. Enchant the scout. The bigger it gets, the bigger the ethereal armor makes it. Hexproof. Don't think there's much they can do there. Scout with a couple exalted triggers. Yes, you could argue it would have been smarter to... Or you could also have attacked with like the other Hierarch that has card draw. But we have a couple curiosities attached to the scout. We'll get similar card draw. And this just retains some extra backup threats. Gladly take our card draw though. Take. Take. Yeah. I was thinking about playing the Ottawa now, or channeling it now, and bouncing it, but I think it's smarter to wait until... Yeah, now. Okay, so we'll just bounce now. Bounce the Hawk, so it gets rid of both the Hawk and its counters, and takes away the Devotion for the Heliod. I don't think our opponent needed to scoop there, but hey, recording time is rare, so we got to get what we can get. And the game did show what the deck, or how the deck looks when you like really do the thing, end quote. So the deck is like, it is a good deck. If we're being entirely honest, at least during my testing, granted, I have been testing other lists since this, but this thing struggled to get out of gold, if we're being entirely honest. Again, we're only in platinum because I'm testing future video decks, and those got me to platinum. So this platinum tier 3, I mean, it does show that the deck works well enough, and it will get you wins, but you really, really got to work really hard for them. It's just like a little bit too cute, especially in a format that has like plenty of ways to answer one big scary threat in various colors. You can still have fun, and I've had fun. But if you're looking for, like, honestly, even an average strength list, I really don't think this is it. If it struggles to get to platinum, i.e. out of gold, that just means the deck is below average. And I'm like an above average pilot if I'm going to be, you know, particularly honest with myself. But if you just want to have a fun list for like a couple days and you have the majority of the list and you just want to have, you know, an interesting change up, the deck will do fine. Will I probably come back to this? Yeah, I think there's something in this, in a list like this in the future. I wouldn't hold my breath. This is one of those... This deck was one of those back burner decks that I've been sitting on for a long time and finally ran out of other decks to do, or was starting to run out of other decks, I should say. So eventually, Bant Boggles came up on the list, but I'll probably come back to it. It's an interesting list and a fun little build around. With that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video. If you like it, subscribe if you like my grab bag of content and would like to see more in the future. And if you have any sort of questions like, I don't have X, what about Y, or other generally nice and or constructive comments, I'll do what I can to respond to what I see. With all that out of the way, I shall see you in the next video. Bye-bye.